Money on my mind, looking for a dime. James Locke in the house, gonna help you shine.
Welcome to the Poole Locke YouTube channel. I'm James Locke. Today we're going to answer some of the Ask James questions of the day. This first question is from Arnold. He says, I recently talked to a few advisors from Vanguard and Fidelity, and they told me that they would have to get back to me about a safe withdrawal rate. If I'm planning to retire around 65, what do you think that would be? All right, Arnold, well, first, let's talk about the concept of a safe withdrawal rate. What they'll do is they'll go into a computer program that has historical market returns, and they'll look at various times in history where you may have lived, let's say 25, 30 years. In other words, until age 90, 95, and they'll say, oh, okay, based on different asset allocations between stocks and bonds, if you withdraw 3% of your balance, what are your chances that you run out of money before you die? You know, what if you withdraw 3.5%, 4%? And then they have a tolerance level that they call acceptable. And that acceptability might be, I don't know, maybe there's a 5% chance that you run out of money, or there's a 10% chance that you run out of money. So they'll set that number, and it will come back saying, okay, hey, that your safe withdrawal rate, for example, might be 3.65%, because that's the rate that gives you only a 5% or 10% chance of running out of money. All right, Arnold, here's the problem. You know, that's all well and good, but let's say you're going to get on an airplane. You're going to go to the airport, you go to the airplane, the pilot says, hey, we've got a good chance of making it to our destination safely. There's only a 5 to 10% probability that we're going to run out of fuel midair before we get to our destination. So button up, everybody. Should be a great flight. Here we go. Question is, Arnold, are you feeling good about that flight, or are you scrambling for the exit door? And I think I know the answer, right? And that's the same thing here. If you have a 5 to 10% chance of running out of money, that's significant. Right? So my simple answer is whatever number they come back with when back tested, right? Number one, I would make sure that it shows your money lasting 30 years. So that's important. So you're at 65. I'd make sure they go out to 95. And if they, get to a 5 or 10% failure tolerance, where it means there's a 95% chance that you don't run out of money, then I would take whatever that number is and I'd lower it. And withdraw even slightly less than that. So that would be my best advice for you, other than, of course, hey, watching a bunch of the other videos and Ask James questions we do, because you can learn all sorts of different approaches to, avoiding a, quote, safe withdrawal rate. But let me emphasize something important here, Arnold. When you're talking about investing for income in retirement, the traditional withdrawal rate approach isn't the only strategy available to you. Many retirees find success with a more direct, income-focused approach, building a portfolio of dividend-paying stocks, bonds, preferred securities, perhaps some alternative income investments that generate reliable cash flow without having to sell principal. The advantage here is that you're living off the income your investments produce rather than gradually selling off your assets. This approach can provide greater peace of mind, since the goal is to preserve your principal while using the income it generates. It's particularly relevant in today's environment, where many quality companies are paying respectable dividends that often exceed what those financial advisors might call a safe withdrawal rate. So while understanding safe withdrawal rates is valuable, I'd encourage you to also explore building an income-generating portfolio as a complementary or alternative strategy. This might include a mix of dividend aristocrat stocks, investment-grade bonds, and perhaps some REITs, or preferred securities, or something else, BDCs, right, to enhance your income stream. Hey, Arnold, great question. If you have a question like Arnold, you can send them in to us. You can email them to poollocke@poollocke.com. So moving on to our second question today. This is from Janice. She says, I'm concerned because my husband is convinced that the 4% withdrawal strategy will be great for our retirement, but I am really worried about that. I really don't want to be withdrawing that much. So what do you think is the right answer? Well, Janice, I think the number is somewhat less than 4%. Let's just start with that. I think with rates going down, or as we just heard with Arnold, right, that there's various mutual fund companies, things like that, that you might be talking to, and they do their own Monte Carlo analysis, which is that's what it's called when they do this kind of mathematics, right? They may come back to you and say you can withdraw 3.7% or whatever it is. Now if you're doing a withdrawal strategy, that is, right? Now I would go even lower than that, right? I'd put a buffer in there. Now it sounds like you are a little bit on the opposite side of the spectrum, right? You actually might be afraid to actually spend any amount of money, which is kind of the other problem, right? So the other problem for some of us, we live our entire life accumulating, saving, investing, and we get to the point where we're taking withdrawals and we look at that as irresponsible, right? You've probably been taught, save your money, don't ever withdraw your principal, leave it alone, right? And then you get to retirement and you scrimp and you save and you can't even enjoy it. And that's probably why your husband wants to take 4% a year and use that rule, because he wants to enjoy retirement. And he's worried that, you might not let him, right? So like I said, opposites attract sometimes, right? And then we spend the rest of our lives torturing each other. So here's what I want to tell you. Yes, I think the 4% might be too high now with rates coming back down. But I also want to tell you that it's not black or white. It's not yes or no. It's not that you can't withdraw anything, because the reality is, you could reposition yourself for income, for interest and dividends, with an income first, growth second approach. Then you can feel free to spend the money with a clear conscience, right? I understand, you don't want to spend money because you feel guilty. You feel guilty like, gosh, I worked so hard. I made all these sacrifices to save this money, and you don't want to spend principal, take withdrawals, right? It's not responsible. I get that. But imagine now you don't have to withdraw the principal. Imagine now instead you have this renewable resource of interest payments that come out to you. You could spend it this year with a clear conscience, knowing that next year there's going to be another interest or dividend payment. You can spend that with a clear conscience because the next year there's going to be another one, right? You're not taking a finite resource out of the ground or out of your accounts. You're living off a renewable resource. So, Janice, I hope that helps you with kind of the sense of comfort to actually be able to spend some money. But please, 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 if you hear one thing from this video is don't use the withdrawal method at all, right? Go to an income first, growth second strategy in retirement. Let me expand on that, right? What this income first approach actually looks like in practice. Because when you build a portfolio designed to generate reliable income, you're essentially creating your own personal pension. Consider investments like dividend-paying blue chip stocks with long histories of not just paying, but increasing their dividends year after year. Companies in sectors like utilities, consumer staples, healthcare often provide solid dividend yields that can grow over time, helping them offset inflation. Additionally, don't overlook fixed income investment like bonds, preferred securities, carefully selected annuities, if that makes sense, that can provide predictable income streams. The beauty of this approach is that you're not consistently worried about market fluctuations affecting your withdrawal rate calculations. So think about it this way, Janice. The traditional 4% withdrawal rule that your husband is advocating means you're essentially hoping the market performs well enough over decades to support your lifestyle. But with an income-focused strategy, you're creating a more direct connection between your investments and your spending needs. when that quarterly dividend check arrives, you can spend it, knowing it's exactly what that investment was designed to produce. So this approach also addresses the psychological challenges you're facing. Many retirees, especially diligent savers like yourself, struggle with the transition from accumulation to distribution. So by reframing retirement spending as simply collecting the fruits of your investment trees rather than chopping them down, you might find it easier to enjoy the rewards of your decades of disciplined saving. Hey, great questions today, as always. Now, if you want to send in your question, you can do so. You can do so by emailing them to poollocke@poollocke.com. And if you like what you heard, go ahead and like and subscribe to our channel. I'm James Locke, your retirement income source. I'll see everyone next time.
Money on my mind, looking for a dime. James Locke in the house, gonna help you shine. Retirement is near, don't you live in fear. Listen up, my friend, let me make it clear. Savings in the